Hello, everyone. Welcome into the radio program called Simply Life. I'm Keith Casebolt, and the guy who continually tries to make our life simple with this program, my dear friend, Gary C. Johnson.
Wonderful to be here.
Oh, is it ever wonderful
And
to be here.
today we're going to talk a little bit about life.
Good, because that, my friend, is what's important.
Isn't it?
Yes, it
Oh, yes. It may be the top dog.
It's not the bank account. It's not the job. It's not any of the things that we would list. It is life.
I was looking at this little article the other day about they did a survey of all the European countries to see which country had the highest happiness level. And believe it or not, it was Finland, and they came in at 8.2.
An 8.2.
Out of a scale of 0 to 10. And it got me to wondering, is my friends, what's your scale?
So if each one of us individually took the test and said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy am I? 6? 5?
And we talked about this before.
Sure.
I just wanted to bring it back up because to help you get out of that 2, 3, and 4, there's this book called The Art of Living by Wilfred Peterson. And he's got lots of things on the art of different things in the book. And one is, and this is the one that may help you raise up your number a little bit if you'll listen to it, folks. It's called The Reverence for Life. And I'm going to read it to you. Albert Schweitzer's principal legacy to mankind consists of 3 words, sealed by a life that was a triumphant example of their power. At sunset one evening, while journeying up the Ogoy River in Africa, Schweitzer's mind lighted up with a phrase which brought his whole philosophy of life into sharp focus: reverence for life. As a jungle doctor, Schweitzer founded a hospital in Africa, which grew from a converted chicken coop into a world-famous institution. Here, for half a century, Schweitzer practiced his philosophy of reverence for life. He was called a genius of compassion. We are like waves that do not move individually, but rise and fall in rhythm, wrote the great man. To rise and fall in rhythm with life around us is a spiritual necessity. The phrase reverence for life is simple and direct. It was Schweitzer's fervent hope that though he might be forgotten, these words would live. He wanted others to understand them and use them. We can make 3 dynamic words a part of our lives and practice the art of reverence for life in these ways. By becoming aware that God is the source of all life and that we are with life, one with life. The good man, said Schweitzer, is the friend of all living things. By having reverence for ourselves and our own God-given talents and abilities, and dedicating them to helping others, by seeking and finding a work through which we can best contribute to the lives of others. Schweitzer often quoted the Master's secret: he who loses his life shall find it. By always reaching out to life, to help life to grow, to express itself and to fulfill its highest destiny. By striving to live affirmatively, by looking for the good in life and glorifying it. By having a deep sense of obligation for the precious gift of life. By giving of ourselves that we may repay life, at least in some small measure, for the infinite treasures it pours at our feet. By coming to know that reverence of life is the very heart of our relations with our fellow men, that we should reverence each other, recognize we are a part of each other, and live together in a spirit of love. By realizing that when we war on life, we war on ourselves, and that reverence for life is the only pathway to the kingdom of peace and brotherhood. Isn't that powerful?
It is. It is so powerful, and what we've got to talk about now. Let's go back to that poll. 8.2 was the happiest, and that was the country of Finland. So when you threw that poll out, and you and I did this program on television, so I was already privy to the information, but I was kind of sitting over across from you, and I was thinking, what number am I? 3? 4? I mean, if I were asked just off the cuff, what's your happiness level, what would I have said? I didn't think anything higher than a 5 or a 6. But then, when you read this passage for the reverence of life, it is an insult to the great Creator not to have a higher number than that because of the gift that we're talking about. And I love that term, genius of compassion. Oh my goodness, shouldn't we all strive to have someone say that we're a genius of compassion?
One of the passages he had in here, which I thought was interesting, we've talked about many times on this show. It's find the thing you're good at. Find the talent that you were given, and then make the most of it and use it to help others. Because everyone has given some special talent by the good Lord. I don't care if you say there's nothing I can do, you're wrong. There's something you are better than at least 10,000 other people.
Even if it's down to the point of listening, if you have empathy for others, if you can be a friend, that's a talent. You're doing something.
Of course it's a talent. It's a talent just being able to listen and comfort and make people feel better. There's talents everywhere. Infinite talents out there that people have. Each and every one was given one. No question about it, my friends, you have a talent. Now, you may have decided it wasn't worthy of you and you ignored it. And you may have decided that you wanted some different talent and went to try to find it. Go back, find your talent, and use it. And it's amazing what will happen in your life.
Gary, the other thing that struck me about this, on our last radio program, you talked about an email that you got where an individual said, I watched your show and you want me to be happy. How can I be happy? I've got all these problems. And they were real problems. I mean, they weren't just made up. They were real problems. But the individual got caught up in the problems and forgot about what you just read, the reverence for life. This individual was still living and could do something about it.
We were talking just a few minutes before the show, and we were talking about the things we strive for and our goals and things. And I think we clearly come to understand the end result of the goal is not where the action is. The action is in every day playing the game of life, being active, and going forward. When you get there, you will not necessarily be satisfied because that's not where it's at. It's the day-to-day living, and the reverence for life is what's important. It may be even called the game of living, but the reverence for being alive, for understanding your life, understanding that you're a player, understanding that you have this talent that you're using, understand that you're exactly the way the good Lord meant for you to be, and you have exactly the talent He meant for you to use. Once you understand that, it takes the pressure off of your life.
So would it be safe to say right now, if I'm following you, that if all of our dreams came true today with the snap of a finger, we would not be happy?
No.
Because the journey then would be over.
It's the journey, it's not the destination.
Now, I know some of our friends are going to say, okay, Keith and Gary, now wait a minute. I'm not sure I follow that.
If you don't make the most every day of the journey, the end result of the dreams or whatever are a waste, because anything can happen before you get there. Even if you're going out there to do this wondrous, glorious thing that you're planning on doing, and you enjoy each and every day of planning it and doing it and working at it, and if you fail, it's no big deal.
Gary, wasn't there a story about a really successful businessman that would build up a company and then give it all away and start over?
Yeah.
Because after it got successful, the journey and the ride was over, and this guy would give everything away, go broke, and start all over again.
And build another company.
And build another company. And then when it got up, he'd give it away.
Give it to charity and go do another one.
So he knew what you're telling us right now. He knew that he enjoyed the journey and the ride.
If you don't enjoy the journey, you will have no life. There's a point I'm trying to make. It is your life.
Yes.
It is all you have.
So this is why when we listen to people who've become successful tell their stories, they look back to when they were living in the little apartment, or they first got started, or they got married, and they had a budget to eat on, all of those things. You told me one time about a very successful businessman that said, the happiest time in my life is when I was working 6 days a week and I'd save up enough money to go to the pizza shop on Saturday night and have pizza.
Mm-hmm. But see, had he understood then that the journey was what was important, can you imagine where his happiness scale would have been?
Oh, my goodness.
That's what I'm trying to tell my friends out there. As you're journeying through this life, every day have reverence for the fact you have the life. And understand this is the action. This is where it's at today.
Yeah, so this program is not for the people who answered with an 8, 9, or 10. You guys, you got it.
You're already there.
Yeah, it's for the people who said, I'm a 3, maybe a 4, maybe a 2, maybe a 5. Anybody that was under that level, you're sitting there telling them you can elevate it by understanding the reverence.
If there's life, there's hope.
Yes, and
now, some of you may have lost hope that's listening to this program. I hope this program will help you get that hope back. Because once you lose hope, you have literally forfeited the gifts you were given.
That was what was so sad about the email that you got. Mm-hmm. This individual had been beaten down, had some very bad problems, but you could tell in the email they had given up hope of ever being happy.
There's a fellow the other day who was talking to me about someone that they were very close to was sick and ill. And they were looking for them before too awfully long to die. And they had already started the grieving process before the person died, and did not concentrate on all the wonderful things that they had had with that person during all the time that they were with them. Whereas that gift of life, of having that person with them during that period of time, is where the focus should have been for their sake.
Absolutely.
Because them giving up too did not help that person. That didn't help anyone.
Yes, it lost the reverence for the days or months or whatever there was
they
left.
had left.
Yeah.
And I tried to explain it to him, and I don't know if I got it over to him or not. But yes, it's a tragedy when you lose someone like that. But you need to concentrate on the joy that you had with that person. And then say to yourself, what would they want me to do, and how would they want me to feel, and how would they want me to approach life?
That makes so much sense. I lost a dear friend about 3 years ago, and I can relate to the story you're telling, because when I would get around him, I would get real sad and start start to cry because I knew what the prognosis was. And he would always look at me and say, but I'm still here.
Uh-huh.
I'm still here.
Let's concentrate on now, right?
Yeah, and it was just exactly what you were saying. He said, you can do that later. I'm here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just exactly what you're saying.
And again, it's all in your approach to having the reverence for life. This is a profound way of saying the things that I've been trying to say on this program for a long time. Appreciate the fact that we have the gift of life. And revel in it, that we have this gift of life.
And it's amazing once you listen to that passage that you read and you take it to heart, how it puts everything else in order.
It puts all your problems in place.
Oh, my goodness. The credit card, it's okay.
It'll be what it's going to be.
The leak in the roof, we'll get that fixed. Whatever the problem is, after you acknowledge the reverence for life, everything else fails in comparison.
And no matter what the problem is, go find you a beautiful sunset to look at and be in awe of the fact that you're alive to get to see it.
Yes.
And to be part of it and to be alive.
That you can actually wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch it come up and to watch it go down and just marvel at what you're looking at.
Every evening anymore, I go out.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'll take a picture and put it on my phone of the sunset.
And they're never the same.
Never the same. Even within 15 minutes, they're never the same.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, that's the amazing thing about it.
Yeah.
The way it changes. When I get to feeling really bad or those chatterbox starts to get me, I pull out my phone and look at those sunsets.
Not only the sunsets, but a couple of buddies and their wives and I went up on the mountain and the clouds. Do you ever look at the clouds and say, guess the formations? You know, all of a sudden the cloud will look like a dog, and then it changes into something else, and everybody was going, look at this, look at this. And it was just the magic of what was going on. It was a beautiful show.
And that's what the show's about. Simply Life. Today, it's about reverence for life. Appreciate the fact you have the life. And I like this passage too, and I'm going to read it to you again. We are like waves that do not move individually, but rise and fall in rhythm, wrote the great man. To rise and fall in rhythm with life around us is a spiritual necessity.
Yeah.
We are all here together. We're all part of the wave.
You know what? The other thing that I got from this passage, as you've told our friends time and time again, you're unique. You're a one of a kind. There's no one on earth better than you. But this passage tells you you're no better than anyone else. They're the same great creation that you are.
But they're no better than you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to read another one of these little passages because I think it's a really good one. You ready? Okay,
Yeah.
folks, here we go. By having a deep sense of obligation for the precious gift of life, by giving of ourselves that we may repay life, at least in some small measure, for the infinite treasures it pours at our feet. It doesn't say you have to move a mountain. It says give back to life in some simple way. That's okay.
Kindness.
Repay.
Yeah. You know what struck me about the story of the gentleman you were reading about? He's called the genius of compassion, and no wonder. What was his greatest wish? That his words about reverence for life would live on after him and continue to help someone.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to read you another passage because I read it fairly fast a while ago, because we've alluded to this many times on this show. Here we go. By having reverence for ourselves and our own God-given talents and abilities, and dedicating them to helping others. By seeking and finding a work through which we can best contribute to the lives of others, Schweitzer often quoted the master's secret, "He who loses his life shall find it." Now, that's pretty powerful, I think.
It
It
is.
simply says, find your gift and talent that you have, and then dedicate your life to using it to help others.
And you explain that. Your gift can be being the world's greatest mom. Your gift can be being the world's best friend. Your gift can be giving an encouraging word to someone who needs it. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world. It is the greatest thing in the world.
Your gift can be a beautiful smile that makes people feel good.
That's a gift, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's contagious. You
But
smile.
everyone has it. There's not a person listening to this program that doesn't have a special ability.
You know, the other thing that I liked about this passage is basically it is telling you stop and think for a moment. As you talked about the sunset, stop rushing through and running through everything and realize it's a day of life that you've been granted, and to have reverence for the day.
And it may make a big difference if you understand the journey.
I tell you one thing it's going to cure it. You and I were talking about this before we actually started the program. It's going to take a whole lot of stress out of your life. And that stress can bother you physically, mentally. You can take medication or whatever. But you can get rid of a lot of that stress just by listening to what you read about the reverence of life.
And understanding that today, my friends, is what you have. And as you journey forward with your plans and hopes and dreams, they are today. The destination is not what's important. Now, if you get there, wonderful. But how do you handle it on the way? You have the gift of life. You have the ability to play the game of life, of being alive.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it to the fullest every single minute. And that little dash of yours will spread into a yard long.
You know, I've actually heard people, Gary, say, now we can't live every day like it's our last. Now, my question is,
You better.
why can't we? And why shouldn't we?
Because it easily could be.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think what we're missing from this is he's telling us to do that.
I'm not saying don't plan. I'm not saying don't try to build something. I'm saying do all of those things.
It's all right.
I'm saying plan on building something and putting it together, but understand that the building of it is where the joy is. The day-to-day building of the journey is the joy.
There's a lot of people that have said, someday I'm going to do this, or, you know, on down the road, and those days didn't come. You're saying, go ahead and plan, but enjoy and appreciate life that you've got today.
That's right. And then and start it a little bit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he fails. That's what I got to get across to you folks.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's a success or a failure at the end. It's how you enjoyed the journey getting there is what matters.
Yeah, back to the businessman. We're worried about failing when this guy built up a business and got rid of it and started over because he got it. He knew it was the journey. It wasn't the destination. And yet we're afraid of the destination when
We're
you're
afraid
right.
of the failure. We're afraid of what others may say. What will they think? My friends, the issue is, what are you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Your thinking for you is all that matters, isn't it? I can't think for you. Period. Nobody can.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to be that important to where I could. Wouldn't that be nice? To say, oh, yes, I can think for so-and-so over here. Guess what? The good Lord gave so-and-so his own brain to do his own thinking.
Or you put out a great challenge on our last television program, and you basically looked into the camera at our friends and said, I want you to make your own decisions. I want you to think. I want you to read. I want you to come up with your own conclusions.
Period. It's your brain. You have Every single person listening to this program has the ability to do that. God didn't put you on earth and didn't give you a brain. He gave you a mighty fine, it's just 3 pounds, but it's enough.
It gets the job done.
It keeps your heart beating and all the other parts of your body, and you don't even know it. It can think for you. Give it a chance. Don't listen to what other people say and look to see what the end result is.
That was a wonderful challenge that you put out, because you pointed out on the television program that it keeps working, and when you turn it over to the subconscious, you'll be surprised what it comes up with.
And if you keep foremost in your mind, my friends, the reverence and the gift of life, and how lucky we are to be alive, and how lucky we are to have been born, and how lucky we are to have been chosen to be born. Now that's what you have to keep focusing on.
You know, I'm sure some of our friends are going to be in a conversation where someone starts criticizing or condemning and complaining, and they're going to look over at them and say, yeah, but it's a good thing that we're alive today, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go outside and see if it's raining. I don't know at the times that I've been listening to conversations, and I'd look over at them, I said, you think it's going to rain? And they look at me crazy. I said, I think that's a better conversation for us to be having.
I'm telling you, I've been with you when you've done it before, and if the conversation was going critical, Gary would look and say, "I hope it snows. You think it's going to get cold tonight?" I mean, you just stopped the entire conversation because of the reverence.
It was going nowhere but negativity,
and it was not going to make you feel good.
Nope.
I mean,
just changed the conversation.
Because you're in control of it. That's the other thing that
I didn't have to listen to it.
That's the other thing you did on the television show. You gave everybody complete control over their happiness.
That's right.
What a gift.
You're in charge.
Now that's a gift.
And if you're around where people are criticizing and naysaying and talking about things they can't change and gloom and doom, ask them if it's going to rain.
And then when they say, what's wrong with you? Say, I've got too much life to live.
I don't have time for this.
I don't have time for this. The name of the book, again, is The Art of Living.
By Wilfred Peterson.
And just in case any of our friends want to look it up or maybe get a copy of it, it is profound, to say the least.
There's some interesting things in that little book.
And, Gary, we will end the program with this. I don't know how many people are listening, but as you always say, if one gets the program, and if one person gets rid of some stress and comes up with a reverence for life and finds more happiness, then it was all worth it.
That's what we're here for. We just want one.
Just one. And I hope it's you. All right, you can catch Gary's television show Tuesday nights on WYMT in Eastern Kentucky, your CBS affiliate, at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays. In Central Kentucky, a late-night replay is on your CBS affiliate, WKYT. And if you're one of those that starts your week early or ends it early on your Fox affiliate, you can catch us at 6:30 a.m. on Monday and then again on Friday. You need to get in touch with Gary. It's GaryCJohnson.com. My friend, thank you for a wonderful program.
Just so glad to be alive to be here.
Indeed, I have the reverence. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Thank you so much for giving us this time and tuning in. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.